Hello my fellow Kiwi lovers. Today we have a short story with a few updates. Title: Suspecting my best friend has feelings for my husband, what should I do next? My husband and I have been together since our teenage years. We tied the knot last year and recently welcomed our daughter, who is now 6 months old. Having both grown up in challenging family situations, we're determined to provide a better life for her. My best friend entered my life a bit later. We were neighbors and began hanging out casually. Initially, she wasn't fond of my husband, criticizing him for being too clingy and interfering with our friendship, though she remained polite around him because he was important to me. It's worth noting that my husband has bipolar type 2, autism, and PTSD, which sometimes make social situations challenging for him. I love him deeply, regardless of these challenges. Over the years, our trio started to spend more time together. We enjoyed evenings with drinks, movie outings, and visits to local attractions, making sure my husband and I also had our private time. However, things began to change when I became pregnant last year. I discovered the pregnancy after feeling ill at work, and shortly after, my husband and I decided to get married. With the upcoming arrival of our baby, I became preoccupied with preparations for motherhood, and my interactions with my best friend decreased. During this time, I enrolled in college to pursue a law degree, aiming to become a paralegal and eventually a lawyer. Between my studies and motherhood, my schedule is packed. One day, amidst all this, my husband received a text from my best friend asking to talk because she was upset. Despite my protests, he took the call, and soon after, we had to rush to her aid because her father was causing trouble. We ended up bringing her home with us for the night. That evening, she asked to cuddle with us in our bed. I was hesitant because I have claustrophobia linked to a traumatic event from my childhood, but my husband agreed without considering my discomfort. After her father apologized, she returned home, and I confronted my husband about crossing my boundaries. Since then, she frequently turns to my husband for support whenever she has issues with her dad. This came to a head when my mother-in-law, who despises infidelity due to her past, overheard one of their conversations and expressed her concerns to me. My mother-in-law then had a stern talk with my husband, which led to an apology from him. He hadn't realized how his actions were impacting our relationship. Despite his promise to change, the problem persists. My friend calls him multiple times a day, often talking for hours. It feels as if she's trying to monopolize his attention, turning their friendship into something that resembles a relationship. This is putting a strain on our marriage, and I find myself feeling like an outsider. I confronted him about it, but he dismissed my concerns, suggesting that I'm overreacting because she's just lonely. I'm at a loss about how to handle this situation and safeguard my marriage. I'd appreciate any advice on how to move forward. Update: Everything about this situation is horrible, and I'm not sure how I'm going to cope for a while. Right now, my baby and I are staying with my friend, Tanya. James and I are getting a divorce. Carla is out of our lives and our circle of friends because she betrayed us too deeply. As many of you guessed, James and Carla were having an affair. It started about 3 months ago and became physical just a month ago. They planned to leave together after James handed me divorce papers, pretending he was just helping her with her emotional problems. I was devastated. Before things got worse, Carla tried to clear the air and revealed that James wanted me to give up my parental rights so Carla could adopt our child. He thought he could convince the courts I was unfit because of my borderline diagnosis from a few years ago. She left me with a bunch of legal papers as she walked out. I'm now working with a lawyer. I was deeply hurt. Carla was just trying to ease her own guilt by telling me. But I won't let my soon-to-be ex-husband push me into giving up my rights. I confronted James, and he just sat there silently while I cried and begged him to explain what I did wrong. Here's some backstory. I had a dangerous complication during our daughter's birth where I lost a lot of blood and needed 2 transfusions. I'm still recovering and was told to avoid any heavy activities, including sex, which left James frustrated. I also had to undergo another procedure to remove leftover placenta, and I had my tubes tied because having another child could be fatal for me. James wanted more children, but this ended that possibility. I feel like I married a monster. We've been together since we were 15, and I can't believe this is happening. He used to be so kind and caring. Now, I'm heartbroken and might not update again until after the divorce. Thanks for your concern. I'm going to take some time for myself. There's no way we can have a healthy co-parenting relationship. I'll be fighting for primary custody with supervised visits for James, and I'll make sure Carla can't see my daughter. I also talked to his mother and Mark this morning. They're really angry at James and are helping me pay for a lawyer since I'm a stay-at-home mom and college student. They've kicked James out, and he's now living in our old house with Carla. He let me take my belongings from there without any problems and said he'll stay in touch about the divorce proceedings. Second update. Talked to a lawyer who's helping me for a reduced fee. My in-laws are also paying for the lawyer to fight against their son. I have some threatening texts from Carla and James, so I've decided to get a protection order. They even sent a text that pretty much proves they were trying to blackmail me. I plan to use this as evidence of emotional abuse in the divorce. James keeps saying I should give up my rights to our daughter so he can be with Carla, but I'm not going to let that happen. My daughter means everything to me and I've always wanted to be a mom. I just got a clean bill of health from my doctor after dealing with complications from childbirth. I can't have any more children because it's too risky. Our divorce hearing is this Friday. My lawyer will handle most of the talking so I don't have to face James's intimidating tactics. My lawyer is tough and I really appreciate that about him. After everything, my in-laws have stopped supporting James. They are upset with him for kicking me out and threatening me. They've always treated me like their daughter and are helping me with the lawyer costs because I'm a stay-at-home mom. My therapist has increased my sessions to 3 times a week. I was also recently diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, DID, which was confirmed during a therapy session where I blacked out. My therapist and psychiatrist had suspected it for a while. I haven't told James and I don't plan to, but my mother-in-law knows and has been incredibly supportive. Some people have commented that I moved out of the house too quickly for it to be believable. I had to go back for my baby's things. Meanwhile, my soon-to-be ex and Carla went on a trip to a place I've always wanted to visit, which hurt even more. A friend told me about the trip after letting me stay with them until my in-laws offered me a place. My baby girl is having a hard time adjusting to not seeing her dad all the time. She's very fussy and I know she misses him, which is heartbreaking for me. Third update. I have some good news. My baby girl is safely with me. My lawyer did an excellent job, and my ex wants the divorce to be finalized quickly. Firstly, I was granted full custody of my daughter with supervised visits for my ex. His own words and the evidence of his threats and attempts to make me sign away my rights played a big part in this. The judge was very critical of James and Carla's actions, mentioning how close they were to facing charges for extortion. Due to their misconduct, the judge ruled against shared custody, fearing they might try to run away with her. Additionally, because of their aggressive behavior towards me, I was granted a protection order. My mother-in-law, who supported me in court, will oversee the supervised visits until the divorce is finalized. If Carla and James try to contact me about anything other than our daughter, they could be jailed. James was also ordered to pay child support, despite his objections. Lastly, after the court session, James made a heartbreaking comment about our daughter. He said if he can't have primary custody, he will seek to terminate his parental rights because he doesn't want to be connected to me anymore, even if it means hurting our daughter. So, it seems like my daughter is losing her father because he prefers to cut ties with me entirely. Carla revealed to me that she is infertile due to an illness she had as a teenager. She desperately wanted a baby and tried to remove me from the picture to create a family with my daughter. I was shocked when she accused me of tearing their family apart, when in fact, she disrupted mine. I was so upset, I nearly lost my composure. Because of her actions, my daughter might lose her father, and I'm very sad about this. Fourth update. Court was this past Friday, and I've waited a couple of days to settle down before posting this update. My soon-to-be ex-husband has been hospitalized. Despite the restraining order, Carla called me this morning, very upset. James attempted to take his own life by overdosing on his prescription medications. Fortunately, Carla found him in time and he's now in the hospital. The doctors aren't sure how long he'll need to stay there, but I'm hoping he recovers quickly. Even though he's caused me a lot of pain, he is still my daughter's father. I've decided not to press charges against Carla for contacting me because it was an urgent situation. James is stable now and they're moving him to another facility for ongoing care. I can't help but feel somewhat sorry for her. I'm not sure when I'll be able to update again. I have a lot to handle right now, including planning for emergency care. Fifth update. Carla has been arrested and is facing several serious charges, including breaking a protective order, aggravated assault, and attempted kidnapping, among others. Here's what happened. Yesterday, I was running errands in town and decided to grab a bite at my favorite Italian restaurant, a place I used to visit often with my husband before our divorce proceedings began. While waiting for my food, Carla stormed into the restaurant and confronted me. She was very upset and started to attack me physically. In the chaos, she broke my nose and arm, fractured my eye socket, and punctured my lung. As I struggled to stay conscious, she tried to take my stroller. Fortunately, a bystander intervened and stopped her. When I regained consciousness, I was in a hospital room with police and my in-laws, who were holding my daughter. The police explained what had happened, and now Carla is in jail waiting for her court hearing. Given the severity of my injuries, the police are handling the charges, which I would not consider dropping regardless. Sixth update. Carla is still in jail and might be facing significant prison time, which is a relief for me. I was also discharged from the hospital a day and a half ago. Starting with an update on my soon-to-be ex-husband, he's responding well to treatment and is expected to leave the hospital next Monday. My mother-in-law has been keeping me informed about his condition, and he is now stable. It turns out Carla exploited his manic episode and persuaded him to be intimate with her. He has since ended things with her and expressed through his mother that he wants another chance to be my husband, which led to Carla attacking me out of jealousy. However, I'm not considering taking him back. His actions have completely broken my trust, especially since he cheated, stopped taking his medications, and made threats towards me and our daughter. I'm proceeding with the divorce but considering allowing him more supervised visitation because he is still her father. Additionally, I've recently landed a job, which I found out about just before leaving the hospital. I haven't read all your messages of support yet, but I appreciate those I have seen. Carla remains in jail with no possibility of bail before her hearing, and I hope she faces appropriate consequences. My ex-husband is seeking reconciliation, and I'm excited to start my new career. I'll provide another update in about a week. Regarding some harsh comments about increasing supervised visitation for him, if he stabilizes and undergoes mandated therapy, local judges might favor him in a custody review. This approach is based on my lawyer's advice to preempt any future legal challenges he might pose. It's simpler to agree now rather than engage in a drawn-out fight. With Carla in jail, my primary concern is lessened. Agreeing to extended supervised visits ensures that my in-laws can intervene if necessary and helps my case in the divorce proceedings. Final update. My soon-to-be ex-husband just got discharged from the hospital. He's living alone now and is feeling miserable after losing so much. His mom and stepdad are mostly staying away from him, except when it comes to supervised visits with our daughter. His mom mentioned that he plans to sign away his parental rights if I decide to remarry, if that's what I choose. She told me he wants to make amends and go back to how things were before everything went wrong with Carla, but he knows I'm not interested in reconciling. He's not contesting the custody arrangements and doesn't want more visitation than he already has. He's also willing to pay child support and alimony to expedite the divorce process, acknowledging the harm he's caused our family. For some background, I have a strong aversion to cheaters because of my own family history. My mother cheated on my father, leading to their divorce and her abandoning me when I was very young. Cheating is a deal-breaker for me, and James knew this. I have a meeting with my lawyer scheduled for Friday to discuss the terms of our divorce and finalize custody arrangements. James's parents are helping me find an apartment. Thanks to everyone for the support. I won't post any updates until the divorce is finalized, which might take at least 3 months.